Welcome back to the Pagan Perspective. I'm your Thursday host, Yeka, and this week we're talking about books of shadows. So, our question comes from Flare Mage, and they ask us, they say, I was wondering if you had any videos on how to start a book of shadows. I have a lot of free floating notes, and I was hoping to get any of your advice on putting them together. I'd appreciate any help you can offer. Thank you for your time. And then Cara put in a note for us that this is a topic we've actually talked about several times over the past few years. So we're going to focus a little bit more on the idea of organizing information that we already have rather than just starting it from scratch. So got to start by saying that I don't keep a formal book of shadows. I do kind of off and on do journaling. I keep a dream journal quite regularly. I sometimes, on and off, I'll get really into it for a couple months and then forget about it. Keep like a little food journal, which I'll do in something like this. This is usually the type of journal that I do dream journaling in too. And then I use a journal as like an everyday thing, and this is my journal that I'm using right now that isn't it's not like writing my feelings down usually, but I love lists and I love planning. And so I'll make my list for the next day, my little to-do list, and cross it off. It gives me great pleasure to do that. And to make it feel more special, I use, this is really nice paper. And then here's my random notes, but you can see I use nice ink. This is like a little flare tip that works really well with my specific handwriting, and everybody's handwriting. Different pens, different writing utensils work better for different handwritings, and I found the one that works for mine that doesn't make it look childish. So that's what I do. In terms of organizing information that I found, my journals are, I'm talking about journaling because that's sort of the closest thing that I do to a book of shadow, I suppose. They're not very organized things, even though I make lists in them. You turn one page, and one page is the layout of a garden with, ideas for what plant to plant where, and the next one is, our finances, like, are we going to make rent this month kind of thing. And then another one will be a doodle of the cat. There's lots of doodles of the cats. So that's not organized. Where I do organize things and keep things, keep track of things, is on my computer. And I have a very specific filing system with the different color-coded folders with files inside and all of that. And so that's where I go, and I just translated that for my academic life into everything else that I'm interested in. So if I come across things, and again, for me, the spiritual and mundane and all of that, they're very blurred, the lines between them. So I suppose my book of shadows, in the sense of a place to store knowledge, is in the digital realm. My feelings and thoughts and things like that tend to be very disorganized in the outside realm. So, in terms of advice for someone else, I would say figuring out what your goal is for a book of shadows. Is it a place to record things that worked for you? Is it a journal in the sense of talking about how things made you feel, or recording things like a dream journal to be able to go through later and pick out patterns, or is it a recipe book? Determining what that is for you. If it's something where you're going to be wanting to organize the information more, some people find that binders, like 3-ring binders that they can take pages out and rearrange it, work very nicely for them. Some people find that a digital format is a good option. If you do go the route of digital, I highly suggest backing that up somehow, whether that's emailing it to yourself or putting it on a thumb drive or using some sort of cloud storage, because hard drives and computers are known for not always working out. Um, of course, the same can be said about you could lose your physical copy. So if it's something that is really precious that you don't want to lose, that it would be heartbreaking, of course, make a backup. So, like many of these topics, my suggestion is to figure out what your goal is and how to meet those. Um, I know that's not the most useful, so another approach that you could take is just looking for inspiration. You can just type in, you can Google Book of Shadows, but sometimes you're going to come up with kind of very fancy, like, things marketed towards you, like, oh, buy this fancy leather bound, you know, with the pictures of the fairies and the this and the that, which could be quite lovely, but might not be very helpful for you. So you might think of terms which are similar, like the journaling, that you might find other images which would be inspirational for you. So I hope that helps a little bit. I suspect folks have already been talking in the comments about what they do for books of shadows or journaling. But if you haven't already, let us know in the comments below what you like to do and if you have any advice for this particular viewer. So see you next time and take care.